Hamas has confirmed its leader, Yahya Sinwar, is dead. Israel Defense Forces killed the alleged architect of the October 7th attacks during an operation in southern Gaza yesterday. Troops came across him without realizing it. Only later did Israel confirm through DNA checks that the body was Sinwar's. Consul General of Israel in New York, Ofir Akunis, joins us now. Consul General, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
What else can you tell us about this operation? Do we know why Sinwar was out of the tunnels in Gaza?
I will tell you, we think that he's trying to escape, to use the Philadelphi Corridor and to escape from the Gaza Strip. So that's the reason that he took with, actually on his body, a lot of money and IDs. And we caught him. And we did to Sinwar what you, the Americans, did to bin Laden. That was his end, the same end.
Where do you think he was trying to escape to?
First of all, to Sinai Desert, first of all, and from there, we don't know, maybe even until Iran. We really don't know, and we cannot ask him anymore. And this is a very happy day, not only for Israel, it's a very happy day for the free world, because Sinwar, with Nasrallah, and with the major head of the snake, Iran, are a threat, a direct threat, not only on Israel, actually to entire free world.
Did you find anything other than money on his person?
Money and IDs. And of course, a weapon. He wants to use it. You know, we found him as just, if I can say it, just a simple terrorist. He tried to escape like one of his terrorists, like one of the Nukhba's terrorists, and we caught him.
Now that Sinwar is dead, does that change how the government will conduct the war?
I think that we can end the war if the Hamas declare that they surrender. That will be the end of the war. We can't accept a situation that Hamas regime will continue in the Gaza Strip. This is impossible. This is a red line, and it will never happen. So they can declare that they surrender, and that will be the end. And of course, they must release 101 hostages that are still in captivity. This is unacceptable, and I think that this is the right time not to put the pressure on Israel, to put the pressure, I'm talking about the United States, United Nations, the European Union, everybody, to put the pressure on Hamas to release them immediately.
But you said that Hamas must surrender. Are there no conditions in which Netanyahu would agree to any kind of ceasefire hostage release deal that involve appeasing any conditions set by Hamas?
I think that we are in a new situation. There is no conditions that Israel needs to agree, not in Lebanon and not in the Gaza Strip. Now, if I may, this is the new Middle East. It's not the new Middle East that we know from 1993 after the Oslo agreements. This is the new Middle East without terrorists, without Nasrallah, without Sinwar, without all the other terrorists that are actually proxies of the Iranian regime.
So it sounds like you're saying this is a new phase of the war, but that phase does not include Netanyahu going to the negotiating table? We always... About the negotiation, I can assure you that we are always for negotiation. And we did it from October 8th, because we know then that we have 250 hostages in captivity. And I, as a minister, voted for the first deal. As a minister in the Israeli cabinet, mid-November, I voted for the first deal. We want the hostages to be with their families in their homeland. That this is unacceptable that a few leaders, I don't want to mention them right now, are putting Israel under pressure to say yes to a ceasefire. This is not the situation anymore. There has been a lot of pressure for Netanyahu from the U.S. to allow more aid into Gaza. We did see some aid this week. What else should Netanyahu be doing?
I think that you can see that during the last year, there's a lot, tons of humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. And well, President Biden and the Prime Minister Netanyahu talked, I think it was just yesterday, and the President congratulated the Prime Minister for the Sinwar. And I think that they both of us know that we will not accept the situation that there will be a starvation in the Gaza Strip, because not all of the Gazans are terrorists. They need to live, they need to drink, they need to, if there are innocent people there. So we are doing it, and we are doing it for the last year, even though there's a lot, I have to tell you, and I have to be honest with you, a lot of domestic criticism on the fact that we are doing it. I'm talking about Israel.
Well, we know that Netanyahu is facing criticism from both sides, especially the far-right members of his government. But what do you say to critics who say Netanyahu is not doing enough to end the war and bring hostages home?
I think that, I will tell you, the opposite is the truth. Prime Minister Netanyahu is saying all the time that if we'll put Hamas under pressure, and if we can, and that was the reality just 2 days ago. Do you remember the debate about Rafah? All eyes on Rafah and all the other issues? Well, I said then, like the Prime Minister, all eyes on you, terrorists. The problem is not Rafah, and the problem is not the Israeli presence in the Gaza Strip, because until October 7th at 6:29 in the morning, there was a ceasefire. We didn't start the fire, so we must defend our people, and we are doing it until the Hamas will surrender. That's it.
We can absolutely acknowledge the terrorist attacks that started the war on October 7th, the brutal assault. But what do you say to critics who say that he is not doing enough to end the war now?
No, I don't think so. I think that we'll end the war under two conditions. First, Hamas will not be there anymore. And second, all the 101 hostages, they will be with their families in their homeland.
Consul General Ofir Akunis, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.